right, everybody, welcome back to our video. Today, where should I start my story? When we were home a couple weeks ago visiting my uncle, and he mentioned he is collecting pennies being smashed in penny smasher machines. And there's a particular place he's always wanted to have a penny smashed from, and that's Yeehaw Junction here in Florida. So Michael and I decided right away we are going to go get this penny smashed for my uncle. Came home, started doing research on Yeehaw Junction. Well, that's not going to happen because Yeehaw Junction, how do we describe this? It was an old bar saloon.
Hang on, tell them what the junction means, because I didn't know that until last night.
It's at the intersection of two highways.
Okay.
But there's this cowboy story about how they all met at this saloon to get drunk, and it was a brothel also. Back in the day, and it just kind of became a popular landmark and tourist destination. Yeah. My uncle thought it was really cool. But about 4 years ago, a big 18-wheeler came smashing right through it, destroyed it. It looks like there may be something left because it is put on Florida's historical preserved monuments site. However, the penny smasher is long gone, so we couldn't get the penny smashed. But we were waiting on a repairman yesterday doing research on Yeehaw Junction, and we stumbled upon a video by AdamTheWoo on his other channel, The Daily Woo, where he went to visit it and found out there's actually a lot of really cool sites there around Yeehaw Junction.
Yeah, it's
all free. And
unincorporated.
Yeah, it's a very tiny little, not even a town. So
yeah, not even a town.
We decided we're going to go check all those sites out and kind of recreate Adam's video. This is not us trying to copycat him or take away from his video.
No,
I'll link his down below because I'm sure his will be better than ours.
He had, I guess the latest video on YouTube itself was him a year ago. So like Julie said, we're not actually sure now what is left because it's been a few years since that truck smashed through the hotel, and there are like rooms as well on the other side of the property. So yeah, we don't know what we're going to get, but we're going to go.
We're not going to be getting a penny from my uncle, sadly, but
we're not going to be doing that.
Adam introduced us to a lot of really cool sites over there, and we want to go see them all for ourselves. So we're going to take the vlog along. I will link his video down below so that anybody can check it out, just to give him credit because this isn't my original idea. But I'm excited to see him. And I found one other place that if we are able to, we are going to try to check it out too. It wasn't in his videos, and it's kind of a bonus surprise. So
yeah,
let me console that dog back there. So here we go. We are on our way to Kenansville, Florida, which is just a little unincorporated town. The sun kind of came and went. Sometimes it was raining, sometimes it was bright and sunny. And on the way, we stopped at what used to be a church. It looks like to me now it's been abandoned, and at some point they were planning to turn this into a school. Michael and I had intentions of going into it and kind of doing a little urban exploration, but when we saw how much you could see of it from the road, we just decided it wasn't worth the risk. AdamTheWoo did stop here and take a look at this church in his vlog, which is why we decided to stop at it too. We were kind of trying to recreate his day and see a lot of the same things he saw. But the church has definitely not been maintained. It looks a lot worse than it did when he was here. I believe it was called Jesus Miracle Chapel, although it looks like at some point it was perhaps a Hispanic church, or there were plans to turn it into a Hispanic Christian academy. I'm not entirely certain the whole history of this place, and I didn't find any history online. But anyway, in the interest of trying to do what AdamTheWoo did, we decided to pull over and look at it, and here you go. This is a very odd-looking old church building. If anyone is looking for that chapel, it's near Hollow Paw, which is where we made a turn to go south on 441 towards Kenansville, also following in the steps of Adam's video. We passed a wildlife preserve, which he had not mentioned in his video, and we weren't expecting. We did pull up to it, but there was a gate with a padlock, so that's definitely either not open to the public, or at least not open to the public on a Sunday, which is the day we were driving through this area.
We can get in there, that's fine with me.
Adam didn't alert the people that there's a wildlife refuge, and we just drove past it. We really would like to do it, but it's locked up. So I'm assuming that's because it's a Sunday. A lot of things in Florida aren't open on Sunday.
But they did have a couple of no trespassing, so yeah, like Julie said, I'm not sure.
I have no idea what that was.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out though. Next up from Adam's video is this place, Yeehaw Station. There's not much to see here at Yeehaw Station, but Adam did stop here, so we wanted to see it for ourselves. It's basically these two signs which mark that there used to be train stops here. You can barely see what's left of the train track in some of the video I took coming up, but Henry Flagler is a man who was at one point partners with John D. Rockefeller. After he left the Standard Oil business, he came to Florida and was a huge instrument in making Florida more accessible to the public, both for public transportation and for, cargo. He put in train depots all over the state of Florida, and I've done several videos now covering a couple train stations that I stumbled upon that had connections to Henry Flagler. But where we were headed, Kenansville, is actually named after Henry Flagler's wife at the time. So it was neat to have seen this, since this is, what is associated with him more so than his wife. But there isn't much to see here other than just the plaques to read and a picnic table. But be very, very careful, because I got a lot of fire ant bites walking around in this grass. Just watch your step, or maybe don't step off the path. Okay, there were fire ants, so we did not stay there long. I was starting to get bit. I will look that up later as a piece of history and train. If you care about trains, train tracks, and train history, there you go. We are thinking the old train track was, it's on the other side, it's bushes now, but we can see where the ground is packed really flat and straight, and actually has like a track in some places. So I know there used to be a train track that paralleled these roads. That's actually what created Yeehaw Junction in the first place. Now they're roads. You can kind of see it here.
Just on the other side of the fence line.
I'm pretty sure that was the old train track, but I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. There's not a lot of indicators now to show you exactly where it was, but since this originally was where two train tracks intersected, I'm going to guess that's where it was. I'm thinking this is what's left of the old train track here to the right of the road, and upcoming you can see what looks like where they've had to cut the trees out to make room for the railway when it came through. So here we are pulling up into the little area known as Kenansville, which is south on 441, roughly halfway between Hollow Paw and Yeehaw Junction. And here it is. What's left in this part of Kenansville is a bank and this hotel over here that's called Heartbreak Hotel. And as you can see, not a whole lot else. So I've done an entire video on Kenansville just because I found the town to be kind of interesting. I'm not even sure it's really considered a town. There, 1914. Can you see that in the tile work? That's the year that this bank was opened. Henry Flagler, the guy we just talked about, who was big in the railroad business, came through this area and wanted to put a stop here, but he told the community that was here that if he put a railroad stop here, he would like for them to name the new town after his wife. Her name was Mary Keenan. So the town agreed. They got their stop. That's how they got their businesses. And this is called the First Bank of Kenansville, which it was only operational for a few years and closed down during the Great Depression. After that, I'm not sure that it's ever been a bank since. It was at one point a grocery store that actually might have not been on the up and up, because instead of groceries, they were selling poached animals that had been taxidermied. But this is what it looks like inside today. It looks like a little museum, but I have no idea if you can ever go inside because there were no hours posted. And of course, we were coming through on a Sunday, so the doors were locked anyway. I'm not clear if this is ever open to the public, maybe through the week, or has hours. There weren't any that I could find online, but it certainly is a shame because it's gorgeous inside, and I would have loved to have been able to go inside there and see all of this stuff. Like I said, I found this interesting enough that I did a whole video on everything I could find in the town of Kenansville, and that video will be coming out in a couple days. I used all the footage I took with my iPhone and then all the footage that Michael took with his GoPro, just to put it all together in case there's anything specific someone is looking for that maybe they could find between the two of our footage. I did like this roof, how it's painted blue. It reminds me of Charleston. old pipe here. This tile work is in great shape, unlike the tile work on the exterior of the building that looked pretty sun bleached and like it's seen better days, but I'm hoping that's original. That is beautiful. And then out here you've got a little cool design in the bricks. Across the street is this little motel. It's painted army green and it has the words Heartbreak Hotel painted on it. There was a rumor going around that Elvis Presley stayed here and it inspired him to write his song Heartbreak Hotel, but I think that has been pretty much completely debunked at this point. Elvis really didn't write his own songs, and the songwriting credit goes to other people for that particular one. At some point this might have been a motel, but I didn't go over there because it looks like it's private property at this point. I'm glad to see that it's being taken care of and maintained, but I didn't want to bother these people. There were clearly people there this day, and I didn't want to bother them or be snooping and trespassing. So I'm just happy to see that this landmark is in good hands. Anyway, this bank is clearly in good hands, being taken care of, and there's a really cool lamp in the back side that you might miss if you pull up. I saw it in Adam the Woo's video, otherwise I might have missed it myself, but it looks like I guess it's a period piece. I don't know how old this thing is, and I have no information about it. It's just a lamp made out of dragons holding up the bulbs. I thought it was so cool, but man, I wish I knew more about this. Other things to see if you visit Kenansville would be this historical site. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and there was almost no traffic the whole time we were there. But you can pull up. It is public property. It's a post office and a schoolhouse. When the town named Kenansville after Henry Flagler's wife, like he asked, Henry promised in exchange he would donate money to build a school for the kids. He actually died before the school was built, but in 1914, when they did build that bank and the town was, created or incorporated or whatever it was at the time, his wife, Mary Keenan, did donate money for the building of this school and land to put the school on also. So it says here that Kenansville is a museum, but I don't know if that means you can go inside it or not. The doors were all locked and there's no hours posted anywhere. I did not find hours online either. So I think by museum, they just mean it's a historical building that's being maintained and preserved. But as far as I could tell, there was no way to get inside and no time of day that you could come and see what the schoolhouse looked like inside, which is a shame. I'd love to see a historical building like this inside. Like I said, I found Kenansville interesting enough that I did another video with a thorough walk around of all of these buildings, and I explained as much as I know about the history of all of them. I'm just going to point out here that when Adam the Woo visited, there was more farm equipment out here in front of this schoolhouse. All that's left now seems to be this pump. There was a hoe or something like that there before. This is me peeking in one of the windows of the post office. I love this building. I love how it's painted. I like the white and green. And I thought it was really cool that you can see from these windows, at least, both sides of the mail room, where the postmaster would be on one side putting mail in all the individual slots, and then when you visit and you have your key, you would come over here to this side, unlock your little box and get your mail. My grandpa was a postman, so I really enjoyed seeing this. It was kind of nostalgic and cute. And I am so happy to see that this building is being taken such good care of. It was spotless inside. I didn't see a speck of dust or anything. It was so clean and so cute, so well preserved. I do wish that I could have gone inside and seen up close and personal all those, those little mail doors. That would have been cool. But it looked great. I was happy to see it. It was a beautiful little post office. Also on site at the Kenansville School was this, and I'm thinking it must be a time capsule. I don't know what else it could be. But 2039, I guess that's the year we get to come back and see what those kids buried. after this, we headed to Yeehaw Junction, which was a little bit of a drive, but it was a really pretty drive. It seemed like Florida got greener and pine tree-eater after we left Kenansville. And actually, there were a couple times when Michael and I said, this almost reminds us of North Carolina, which is where I'm from, and I thought it was a really pretty drive. All right, here you see we are pulling up on the Desert Inn and Bar and Restaurant. This is what used to be known as Yeehaw Junction, and this is what started our whole day of adventures off. Originally, we had hoped we were coming here to get a penny smashed for my uncle, but we didn't have high hopes that was going to happen because I thought I had heard online that the penny smasher machine has long since been removed. I've done an entire video just on Yeehaw Junction because I felt like it deserved a standalone video all its own. It's out here in the middle of nowhere. As you can see, these crossroads intersect like a big X, and at one point, this was an old cowboy route. I think they would be driving through here maybe on their donkeys or driving their cows through. I'm not sure. It was a bar and a brothel back in its earliest days. But it turned into something a little more respectable. Out here in the middle of nowhere, it became a bar and a restaurant. I really, really wanted to go up there, but I did not trust the integrity of the stairs or that floor. So as you can see, this place has seen better days. They have built other gas stations on the other 4 points of this intersection here so that if people need to gas up. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Man, I would love to go up there. How historic that looks. So about 4 years ago, unfortunately, a truck was coming, I think northbound on 441, and he missed his turn or he turned too sharply. Something happened and the truck jackknifed and skidded right into the front of this historical landmark, and that is such a shame because look at the damage that's been done to poor Yeehaw Junction. Poor Yeehaw Junction. There used to be a historical marker right out here in front, and that either got taken down with the truck or stolen somewhere along the way because it's not here anymore. But this is still on the list of historic places in Florida. I had to get a picture of Abra sitting here because I love this piece of art, and it's a shame nothing is being done to preserve what can be saved. But originally, even before it got the name Yeehaw Junction, this place was known as Jackass Crossing, which I think is so super cute. Back in its heyday, you could buy discounted tickets for attractions in Orlando here. I really wanted to go inside, but I just was too afraid of the integrity of the floor to attempt that, so I just tried to peek in a few windows. Behind the Desert Inn and Restaurant is a little motel. It looks really cute because they've painted it like log cabins, but it's all boarded up, locked up. There's no going in that. So we just walked around the perimeter, took a look at everything, and wished we had been able to see any of this in its heyday. I think this room on the far end used to be the office because it looks like there's a sign hanging, or where a sign used to would have been. We were trying to follow along in the steps of a YouTuber, adamthewoo, and he stayed in room number 3 in one of his old videos from probably about 10 years ago now. So I thought that was cool, but definitely, like I said, there was no going in this building. On the way back to the truck, though, I did see this spoon laying on the ground, and I am hoping, got my fingers crossed, it came from the original restaurant, little diner area. I'm going to take it home as a souvenir for my uncle since I couldn't bring him a smashed penny. So hot. And that wraps up all the sites that we had seen in the adamthewoo video, but there was one more place I wanted to go before we headed home. We had to drive all the way over to Vero Beach for that one. Once we got into Vero Beach, we made a little pit stop at this park so Abra could have a little potty break and get a drink of water. And I saw these beautiful red flowers. I think they're irises. Irises are my favorite flower, but I've never seen solid red like this, so I had to get lots of footage of that. Abra, come on, hop, 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 hop. Come on, hop, hop. Woo. Big jump, come on. Come on, yeah. You're making a mess. Here we go. So this last place we went was near the Vero Airport, and we're only about maybe 80-85% sure we were even in the right place at all. But Michael and I have been on somewhat of an archaeology kick lately, and we just wanted to say that we had been to the site where something interesting happened many, many years ago. There is nothing left to be seen today. But kind of across the street from the Vero Airport is a site that was being dredged out in the early 1900s to put a drainage canal there as Vero, which is now known as Vero Beach, the town was starting to develop. And at the time when they were dredging the canal, they actually brought up some human bones that were also in a layer of dirt that they had determined was from the Ice Age. And there were some fragments of Ice Age animals mixed in with the human bones. So that was really cool because the sort of accepted archaeology timeline is that humans were not in the Americas during the Ice Age. So it was kind of a big puzzle on how these human bones got down there. Also, not just, it could be that the humans buried their bones in that layer, but there were some, I believe, mammoth bones found that had carvings on them that were clearly made by a human. So this was all a big puzzle, a big interesting mystery, and it was investigated several times over the years, most recently in the, I think, 2014, 15, 16 era. I was fascinated enough by this site to do a complete video on it, which will be coming out in a few days, actually about a week, I think, because I'm still trying to learn more. They call the bones, the human bones that they found, Vero Man. They were found in a layer of this canal here, but after they did a little more research on the bones, they determined that they actually belonged to a female, so it should have been called Vero Female. Unfortunately, the bones were not preserved in a manner that would allow them to be subjected to testing later. They were originally found in 1913, and they were like shellacked or preserved with some kind of material that made them ineligible to be radiocarbon dated once we invented that technology about 35 years later. So it's really sad that we can't actually date the human bones. I'm kind of bummed about that because I just really believe in my heart that Graham Hancock's timeline of human history might prove to be more accurate one of these days. They did date some of the tools they found at the site as well, the human tools, and they determined that they were not anywhere near as old as the Ice Age animals, so it is possible that perhaps this site isn't proving anything at all. But we'll never know because the human bones weren't preserved properly. That's a tragedy. Look at the rain. It has washed my makeup, which was trying to...
Well, you were standing out trying to get pictures of that archaeological site or the remnants of
what we hope is the right location for the archaeology. Yeah. So now we're hungry, and now we got to make a plan.
We made a big square today. We decided not to go back the way we came, so we're now on US 1. And if you look at it on a map, I guess it wasn't a square, it's more like a rectangle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we are 34 miles from our house, but we're starting to talk about a food plan because it's a few minutes after 3.
Abra is so tired.
Abra is out. She is out.
Are we going to take her home and drop her off and go back out and get food, or are you wanting to eat on the way back to the house?
I don't know. Yeah, I have to think about that for a few minutes.
We will circle back.
Yeah, we'll circle back and let you know what we end up doing. Good.
US Highway 1 runs north and south up and down the river that separates the mainland from the barrier islands, and it is a beautiful drive no matter what time of day you are driving it. I think this is the 5th time this week that we've had Wendy's.
That's what we said, yeah.
Delicious, we love it. Little Abra over here is completely worn out, completely worn out from all of our adventures. Look at that. Good night.